Hello, everybody. Welcome to another. This is random. We don't really do this very often anymore. We used to do this all the time, and I plan on starting to do it more often.
This
But
is this is a way to shut me up in the group chat so I don't give away spoilers. So
um, we were just chatting in our group chat about Boba Fett, and I wanted to. I was like, let's see who's available and come on and chat. We might have other people join us during this. We might not, but Mike and I, we saw this episode through very different lenses, and I thought it'd be fun for us to come on here and chat about it because I. Okay, so spoilers. There's going to be a lot of spoilers in this review slash discussion slash chat. So you guys are warned. If you haven't seen it yet, then like, what are you doing? You guys need to jump
I
off of this review and go watch it.
I do want to say in my defense in the group chat is that I didn't say any actual names. I just said redacted. Like I
Yeah, no,
actually
you're fine.
I was like, cool.
Yeah. No, you didn't do anything wrong at all. But so let's. So I there's been a lot of speculation about. Well, it's been a lot. Let's talk about this show as a whole. Like, what have you thought about the Book of Boba Fett up until episode 5 when it became the Mandalorian?
um well basically my thoughts the past couple of weeks that on the podcast kind of remain the same. I'm kind of in the same camp as some of our fellow geeks, as it were, where it's it can be an interesting idea. Around episode 4, I felt they starting to drag their feet a little bit. Like I did like the background stuff regarding Boba Fett, regarding okay, here's how he got out of the pit, and here's what he was up to in the desert. And I actually liked that aspect, the whole being with the Tusken Raiders for a while. I think once that arc kind of completed, I started losing interest because that for me was the more interesting part of the show. Like I knew the crime syndicate story was going to play into it far more. Uh, but that all this is going to look like. But I'm kind of like, I haven't really built up much anticipation for this finale, and I I'm appreciative of the episode and 3/4 we got with the Mandalorian because it kind of gave it a little shot in the arm of like energy just to see what he's been up to. But at the same time, it's kind of like okay, it's still slow. It's still slowly building up to the point where we left off back in episode 4. At this point,
yeah. We're getting the opposite side of the story, and um, yeah, I feel the same way. I liked the Western kind of feel, like the slow burn of the first 4 episodes, a whole lot, and
mm-hmm.
I was really into it. As somebody, I don't know, man. I always like describe myself as more of a Star Trek guy, but I'm finding myself more and more like enthralled with Star Wars. And I don't know, Book of Boba Fett, I was having a lot of fun with it. I liked that it was taking its time to build out the story and let us know what, kind of going on with him, what he's been up to. It
I
makes
will. I will say Star Wars TV so far. That's the thing. It's like this is only really the second thing outside of the Star Wars anime stuff
mhm.
that we've gotten. Uh, or no, well, I mean, Mandalorian, Star Wars anime, or Visions, I guess is what it's called, and this. But I'm appreciative of kind of some of the stylistic choices they're taking, like you said, the slow burn. But yeah, I know other times it can be weird, and I'm sure we'll get into the weird factor.
Yeah, so episode 5, like I didn't realize how much of a slow burn it was. I know that the guys on the podcast had always said that, but it felt fine to me. It felt like, just a show that I was watching and I was really enjoying. And then episode 5 hit and the speed and the pacing just it ramped up like to a whole nother degree. Like it didn't feel like it felt like a continuation of the Mandalorian, not a continuation of Boba Fett, which I know what they're doing. I know the whole point of the Book of Boba Fett was to bring kind of give the Boba Fett character some room to breathe, tell his story, how he got to where he got, and then it was going to tie back into the Mandalorian. I kind of expected that. Didn't expect that until Mandalorian season 3, but we're here. And episode 5, I had a lot of fun with, and then episode 6, when I stopped watching it, I almost decided not to continue with my Good Watch binge or the Good Wife binge and go back and watch the Book of Boba Fett again because it Episode 6 is fan service. Like, you think Spider-Man No Way Home is fan service?
Yep.
It's like Jon Favreau said, hold my beer, and then went and did this, because as a fan, I was serviced. Like, they delivered on so much, and just start from the beginning. One, they tied it back to Padme's original like ship that she used, and
Well, it's a Naboo starfighter, basically, right? He basically soups up. I thought that was actually kind of cool that they dedicated like a portion of episode 5 to Amy Sedaris and the Mandalorian just souping up an old starfighter. I kind of like that. Just another like day in the life of people in the galaxy. Nothing epic at stake. Nothing too grand. It's just let's get him a new ride, and I kind of like that. Kind of don't like that the Rebel Alliance is now like basically cops on power trips. Like they're just basically like necessarily catching him in a speed trap and giving him a hard time. I'm just like, I don't know if I like that too much, but
what's up, Kathleen? I agree. I loved everything with her and I love the whole. I dated a Jawa once. That was really funny. She said that they were really hairy. I didn't expect a Jawa to be hairy. I don't know what I expected, but
yeah, I think. Well, I mean, I think there's been like concept art where it's like Jawas, early concept art showing like Jawas have fur or something like that. Like no one really knows what's going on under those hoods.
one of the things I like about the series is it's given the Tusken Raiders and the Jawas like actual characters. Like they're actually like characters and not just like there.
Until they're just sacrificially killed off for a symbolic gesture. Sure. like yeah, it was cool getting a little bit more into the Tusken Raider like culture and to see like someone interact with them and them not just being like these boogeymen of the desert. And then it's just like, okay, here's why they're here, so that they can, just be killed off in some way that somehow promotes Boba Fett to doing what he was probably going to do anyways.
Yeah, but so we kind of got ahead of ourselves because the Mandalorian is back on Mando or on their planet, and the guy tries to take his death saber away from him. Was that today's episode? Because I watched them back to back.
No, well, yeah, that's the thing is that I missed last week. I didn't watch episode 5 last week around the time I typically would, so I watched them earlier tonight, back to back. Yeah, episode 5, Mandalorians on the Mass Effect Citadel. That's not their planet. It's just like a space station type of setup, and that's just where the weapons person and her follower have like relocated to. So they're just hanging out there in the underground area of the space station, trying to start fresh.
Yeah,
and yeah, he brings the dark saber to them and says like it's heavy. And that like he's challenged for it, right? And then he melts down his spear into a gift for. I'm calling him Baby Yoda. I'm not calling him Grogu. That's such a stupid name. But yeah, he's melted down into a gift for him. So
yeah, and then so after he gets his spaceship built and Fast and Furiousized, he goes up into space to go find Grogu. And as soon as he said he was going to see Grogu, we all know who we were going to see in this episode, and that was Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
I know we have very different opinions on Luke Skywalker, and we'll get to that. Before we see Luke Skywalker, though, we see Ahsoka Tano.
I don't have a problem here. I don't have a problem with Luke Skywalker. I have a problem with his presentation in this show. Like the technicalities of his presentation in this show, I have an issue with. So, but we'll get to that. Like you said, Ahsoka Tano.
Ahsoka Tano. What do you think of Ahsoka Tano? Because I know if Max was here, he'd be cussing because he hates.
I know. I honestly, here's the whole thing. I don't know a lot about the expanded Star Wars media we've gotten outside of the new movies.
So we're pretty much in the same camp.
I've barely watched any of Clone Wars to really get a beat on that character. I know she's in the Clone Wars, and I've seen some episodes here and there, and she seems okay for what she needs to be in the story, which is sort of like an anchor for Anakin to kind of, give him an actual like personality. He needs to run dialogue off of someone who won't always be dry and sardonic like Obi-Wan is. Like, and from what I've seen, I think she works great as a character for what she needs to do. So I don't know much about her outside of how she serves in an episode to episode format. But it's fine. Rosario Dawson's cool. I like Rosario Dawson.
I do too, and I'm in the same boat. I actually had to message some Star Wars experts about who the guy at the end of this episode was. But yeah, it's always fun to see Ahsoka Tano. One thing I love about Dave Filoni, and I wish the movies did not do this very well, especially the new movies didn't do this very well, which is you feel like it's a universe and it's not so small. Even though we're going back to see Luke, but we're starting to expand this universe, and he's tying people in. And when he ties people in, I feel like it makes sense. Like the fact that he went to see Grogu, we know where Grogu is, so it made sense that Luke was there. It's not like he was on Tatooine and Luke just walked by and was like, "Hi guys, how you doing?" So yeah,
but why is she there?
Because see, one of the things I wish that we had gotten in this episode was because we got it hinted. Luke obviously knows that she knew his father. I would have loved to see that conversation when he finds out.
Metatext wise, I know why she's there because she has a spinoff coming soon. So they need to get her out there more and more. So I know why the character is there in terms of the marketing. Story wise, I'm just kind of like, when did she meet up with Luke? Or was it just like, oh, okay, she's communicating through the Force to him or something, even though she's not really much of a Jedi anymore or whatever. I was just kind of like, she's here. Yeah, you're right. She's here purely for the fan service of it. Like, honestly, Mandalorian could have had that whole exchange with Luke himself, and he wouldn't have lost anything. But Ahsoka being there, I don't think really added or took away from those character interactions. It was just like, well, Ahsoka might as well be here because she has a show coming up, so we better promote her. So
yeah, see, like I was saying, the scene I would want between Luke and Ahsoka, I wish we'd had in this episode. Maybe we'll get into the Ahsoka show, which is the I knew your dad. I think that'd be a fascinating conversation because all Luke knew of his father was that he was Darth Vader. Like, he didn't really know much of the backstory, and she was there for all of it. Like, she could give that to him. It'd be a fun conversation to listen to. But I thought Luke looked good. I thought he looked as good as he did in the Mandalorian episode. Better, actually. I thought he looked better than Tarkin for sure. I was like, wow, this is looking better.
It doesn't look that great. First of all, also like, they did kind of have a throwaway conversation. She's like, "You're very much like your father."
Yeah.
For something that I'm like, is that really something his father would do? Because I really didn't get a beat on Anakin as a character in the prequels.
Yeah,
because he kind of wasn't a character. So is that something Anakin would have done? I don't know. Maybe it's something he did in the Clone Wars. Yeah. But clearly they've had that conversation already. And it's just like, well, here we are just talking about your dad again. Cool. I'm not a fan of CGI Luke. It works in small doses, not half the episode. Oh, no, not even half the episode. 75% of the episode. It was distracting for me.
I could do this much in an episode. I could not. Lucasfilm. Like, as much as I like this episode, I don't want a Luke Skywalker series. I don't mind if you pepper Luke in where it makes sense, and even Han Solo and all them. If you want to pepper them in where it makes sense, that's fine. I don't need a series where they're all de-aged. I know that you want to make up for the sequel series by giving us these fun little nods, but we don't need a whole series. I don't need a whole series.
Here's where I come down on Max's side from years ago, where Max was talking about like Carrie Fisher and how she passed on. It's like, just let someone else take over the role in episode 9 or whatever. I think that's what they should have done for this. Like, I wasn't on the side of that just because I knew they had footage of Carrie Fisher still. If they were clever about it, they could find a way to work it in and make it meaningful. They botched that up. So at this point, I'm just like, you know what? I don't need Mark Hamill to be de-aged. Like, just get someone who can express close to Mark Hamill, like what they did with, I don't know, that movie Solo with what's his name as young Billy D, Donald Glover as young Billy D, and Alden Ehrenreich as young Harrison Ford. Like, just get someone who looks close enough and who is going to be able to emote because their CGI face won't be taxed to its limits.
I mean, he's right there, Disney. You have him in your pocket. He is in your Marvel movies. He looks like Sebastian Stan. Give him a call. Like, I'm sure he would love to play that kind of role.
Yeah, he does. He does look a lot like young Mark Hamill. Yeah, like that honestly would have been a solid choice, I think. But I know, but because they did that in the Mandalorian season finale, which worked fine for the couple of minutes that he was there at the very end of the show. But now it's like you dedicate a whole episode and force that face in front of me for 75% of the episode. It's not going to gel with me. Like it looks bizarre. Like as polished and as slick as the animation can be, it's the uncanny valley. You're fully aware and you're fully cognizant that that's not an actual face, or at least it's not an actual like flesh and blood face. And also just the way they set up young Luke, like a majority of his lines, he's out. You don't see him talking, or he's out of the frame, and you just hear Mark Hamill's. I don't know if he's just doing a younger kind of take on his voice, or if they're digitally doing something to his voice. His vocal performance sounds very disconnected from what's going on in the actual scene. He sounds stoned.
I will agree with you on the
thing.
way Mark Hamill sounds. I thought the same thing. Like, yeah, his voice seemed a little higher than it should have been.
It sounds very disconnected. And when I was watching episode 6, where he's pretty much throughout the whole episode, I couldn't decide if it was like a creative choice that he should sound completely emotionally detached from everything. Like, is this what Luke was at that time when he became a full-fledged Jedi Knight? He just became an emotionless dude like all the other Jedi in the prequels? Or is it because they need to keep a restrained performance in the vocals because they can't, again, overtax the CGI face to show too much emotion that makes it look weird? Because like the biggest range of emotion that I saw in the Hamill CGI face was him going, he made like a "did you just fart" look when he looked over at Baby Yoda on a rock. He's like, and that was like the extent of emotion I saw in his face. I don't know. It was weird. It was just weird for me. I don't want to take over, but
I honestly I thought we would. I'm glad they didn't do it. We didn't need too much of ooh, look what's happening here. I thought we would see a young Ben, like when they said they were going to find Luke. I was like, oh, it's probably going to see a young Ben Solo because
oh right, because
it's
they're
about the
building
right time.
they're
Yeah.
building the place that he's going to tear down in like 20 years.
I'm glad they didn't do that. We'll save that for later. I'm sure that they will find a way to do that.
Oh, I'm sure they'll find a
They're
way.
trying to make up for the sequel series, and I get it. And the whole point of this episode was, and Luke says to her, because as man, that like I don't know what to do with Grogu because he is so attached to Mando because they had that bond of their life together that he gives him a choice. He gives Grogu a choice. Like, do you want to be a Jedi or do you want to go back to your friend and be with him? Because I can't make this choice for you. I like that. Like, I'm not gonna tell you can't have this attachment because you're a Force user. Because Luke has attachments. He gets it. He gets the emotional connection. And if Grogu is just a little guy.
Yeah.
I was waiting for Ghost. I was afraid Force Ghost Yoda would show up too, and I didn't want that either.
Well, I mean, it wasn't needed. Like, yeah, it's a simple enough choice. Again, sorry, I'm gonna keep coming back to this. It would help if it was being emoted by an actor who would be allowed to emote and not like behind a dead-eyed CGI face. But
dude, I'm with you. This campaign that the fans have going on, I think the fans would accept this. Like, I know that you guys are apprehensive about recasting characters because of what happened with Han Solo, but like, the fans want this.
I thought Alden Ehrenreich was perfectly fine as a young Harrison Ford. Like, that's the thing. I'll champion Solo fine. Just because like I would have been curious to see what Lord and Miller were actually going to do with it. The problem is when the higher ups decide to be like, let's make this more Disneyfied, more marketable. And it's just like that's when all the chances and all the creative leaps kind of feel restrained.
It's because they get nervous. Unlike
Yep.
Marvel, who seems to be able to do what they want to do, Star Wars, for some reason, like with bringing JJ back, like I read some of Colin Trevorrow's script that they decided to scrap and move on. His script actually would have made it feel like a trilogy. Like, it made sense, but they got so bent out of shape because of The Last Jedi that they went back to something that worked for them. And unfortunately, it didn't work out for the mass majority in the end. And yeah, take some chances because I want to see the Lord and Miller cut of Solo also because I thought they were all fine and great. Like Lord and Miller is like batting 100, and you let them go. Like whatever. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the Mandalorian. And
Well, here's the thing, and here's where we can get into something. Well, no, because I like this conversation too about like what creatively stimulates us and what financially stimulates the mouse. Because here's some thoughts. I liked the first season of Mandalorian quite a bit, just because it was, for the most part, markedly different from anything else we'd gotten in the franchise thus far. It's like, okay, it's a little bit more down to earth. The stakes at the time aren't as grand or as big. It's just about like this little scuffle essentially on a handful of planets and these odd jobs that this bounty hunter takes, and he happens to have this kid tagging along who's mysterious. Cool. Season 2 comes around, and then I still am enjoying it, and I'm just like, oh, but now we're going back to Jedi, and oh, there's that character from the Legacy, the Ahsoka Tano from Clone Wars, I guess, and ultimately that's going to tie into Skywalker family. I'm like, I don't want to go back to the Skywalker family. Like, leave it alone. Some of the Star Wars Visions I've seen, the anime, I like them just because they are drastically different. Like, you have essentially samurai Jedi, fights throughout the galaxy, and all these kind of cool characters and inventive, creative designs for these characters. Does Disney Plus ever market Star Wars Visions beyond like the occasional YouTube ad? No, they tout up.
I don't think it did well with the critic rating on some of the episodes. I think that's why they kind of like pushed to the side.
Yeah. Remember when they had the Rise of Skywalker and they're like, the tomato meter says it is 50% or 56%. They were proud of that for some reason. But no, that's the whole deal. It's like, it's because it was a creative gamble and creative risk that they weren't sure was going to pay off. And I don't know, that might be the most financially sound approach for the company to take, but it's going to get old fast. Like, actually, there was a quote I saw earlier today. Someone pulled this from an interview. Like, Rian Johnson actually said this years ago regarding Star Wars, where it's like, the thing I like about making a Star Wars movie is the possibility that you can go in some bold and different directions. Because if we just keep coming back to the same repeating cycles and patterns, it's gonna wear out its welcome. It's gonna get old fast, which is probably why he went the way he did with Last Jedi, which honestly I think is a perfectly fine Star Wars movie that took some creative risks. Some of them work, some of them don't. But honestly, I was like, you know what? I'd be more interested in these ideas, but it felt like they got shut down with the next movie.
I feel like that too, and I think Dave Filoni has a grasp on Star Wars, and I'm really digging what he's doing with the Mandalorian and Boba Fett. But as far as the movies go, with Kathleen Kennedy being in charge, one, I think they need to get rid of her, and they need to put somebody in there because Kevin Feige will push back.
I mean, Kathleen Kennedy's the one who promoted Filoni too, so it's like,
That's true.
Ultimately,
and Favreau.
Yeah, and she promoted Favreau too, and I feel that gets lost in the translation as well. Is that like, you know what? They're in the position they are because she saw their talent for it. I don't think it's a question of like it boiling down to one person, because ultimately it boils down to what the investors are looking for in terms of turning a profit, in terms of like, this is what we see trending and marketable. Like, Baby Yoda, gonna sell like hotcakes. Let's shove them into everything. Oh my god, they did a whole repeat of the 70s where they were totally unprepared for Baby Yoda merchandise. So like, let's saturate the market with it next Christmas.
They did the same thing with Baby Groot.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm just like,
baby somethings in your movie. Make sure you have a big supply of it. That's all I'm gonna say. I think.
And honestly, I'm just like, man, Baby Groot was cool for that one movie. Sure, I'm kind of sick of seeing him all the time. I would love to see full-grown Groot again, just because. Also, it's weird that Vin Diesel's getting paid to say 3 words and also in a very high-pitched voice. I kind of hate that.
It's annoying, right?
Yeah. I'm a grump. I'm sorry. I'm being a grump, but cynical stuff. But yeah.
Everybody has their opinions, and we were talking about The Last Jedi. I agree, and it's unfortunate that we're not going to see the true cap to that trilogy, because I thought And I loved Rise of Skywalker, but I don't think that it fit with that trilogy at all. But we got The Force Awakens, which worked really well for what it
Hey.
was, reintroducing Star Wars to all of us, and we all loved it. We clapped, we applauded, and then we got The Last Jedi that piggybacked off of that and took us into a new direction. And I really liked The Last Jedi, and then
Mm-hmm.
got Rise of Skywalker, which ignored everything in the eighth film and just completely like derailed the trilogy. Again, I like The Rise of Skywalker as a Tomb Raider movie. It's fantastic, but as a capper to that final trilogy, it's not good. And Colin Trevorrow, if anybody's read his script, actually tied 7 and 8 together into a nice wrap up, and I wish we could have seen that.
Yeah.
I do.
Hey, Tim. By the way.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. What'd
Nice
you think?
So,
to see you
actually, Jay.
again.
Yeah, likewise, Mike. Likewise.
We were.
So, Jay, I couldn't agree with you more about Episode 9. It's a great movie. I think it's a great standalone movie, but it doesn't serve the trilogy well.
When I walked out of the theater, they asked me if I liked it, and I said, you know what? J.J. Abrams should direct the next Tomb Raider movie or Indiana Jones movie because he just made it and it was pretty fun.
Right. It just there was too many loose ends they were trying to tie up inside of the movie with too many special effects, and they brought my favorite quote on Funny Science Fiction. We interviewed Ryan Airy from Screen Crush.
My favorite quote was from Tim by Siegel. And
No. I'm not that into myself. No, but okay, I am, but that's not the point. No, it was actually from Ryan Airy, the guy Screen Crush. And we were talking with him about the movies, and I think he put it best. He's like, they couldn't think of a better villain, so they just brought back Space Satan. They brought back, the Emperor. Ta-da! He was just there. That's basically how they presented it.
So, and also,
here first.
Oh, hello, hi.
Hi.
We're multiplying. Yay!
I was trying to beat Tim, and it didn't work. I to get
Good try.
Way, so.
Well, and also there was no. Whoa. Oh yeah, I forgot. You're in charge here. You can have fun with our appearances and audio and such.
You're gonna beat me, but I still have a lightsaber.
Nice. But yeah, I mean that was kind of the thing is that there was no plan going into the new movies. Like JJ dropped a bunch of those mystery boxes he loves so much in the first film, and it was like, someone else will figure it out. It's not like I'm coming back for this. And then.
JJ's original plan, according to Daisy Ridley, was that Obi-Wan was Rey's father, or grandfather. I think it was grandfather. And that didn't happen.
No.
Cool.
I've read it both ways. I'm not entirely sure which way that's supposed to go, but I mean, even if it had been, I don't know that would have saved the other issues that were plagued by the, plagued the series. I mean, I have my own issues with The Last Jedi, but I've come to appreciate the movie for what it is. Mm-hmm. I still have a couple of very serious issues with the movie. I used to feel it was a hot steaming pile of garbage, but it was my Star Wars garbage, so I was still going to love it. But
in the trash compactor. Sorry.
But I had to look at it through somebody else's perspective, and I think for me that really helped. I haven't found somebody who's been able to help me capture the perspective that I need for The Rise of Skywalker yet. I don't have a problem with Rey. I think she's great as a protagonist. I don't have a problem with... I really get annoyed with all the Mary Sue comments because if she's a Mary Sue, so is Luke. So just deal with it. And I don't have a problem with any of that. I do have a problem with how they tried to wrap up all the stories. The whole I'm all the Sith, I'm all the Jedi, that annoyed the crap out of me. I don't know. And then again, the Ryan Airy quote, they brought back Space Satan. So,
Well, and also I feel it's like I like the characters for where they're starting off with in those at the beginning of those films. Like they're kind of starting off points, but then the potential for where they can go feels kind of squandered by the end of it.
Yeah,
it's kind of like
such wasted potential.
Finn felt totally underutilized. Like Poe ultimately felt underutilized, and yeah, it's just like there was places you could go with these characters, some very different places, and they just never ventured too far out of the comfort bubble of it because they
Right.
got to guarantee they'll make millions off of it.
And then, if you look at like Last Jedi, they introduced the character Rose, and I thought she was going to be a pretty major character moving forward. You get
Then
to
background.
9, and she's such a background character.
Yeah.
And like you said, with Finn and everything else, there was all these characters that were introduced, and they had. I feel like Nick all of a sudden doing this with my hands. Love you, Nick. Anyway, so but they had all these characters that were introduced, and they were brought to us, and they made it look like it was going to be something, right? Like, I didn't expect Finn to be a Jedi. I expected nice. I expected him to be, maybe Force sensitive, maybe be, have a knowledge or working knowledge of the Force, but I didn't expect him to be a Jedi. But I expected him to be more than just a former stormtrooper that was just running around, with a Wookiee.
Right.
All right, so let's catch you guys up. We are currently at the point where Grogu was left to choice by Luke. So I want to find out what you thought of the episode up till then. I want you to know: would you rather they continue to use Luke as a CG character or bring in somebody like Sebastian Stan?
Sebastian Stan,
a physical character. So
Sebastian
go
Stan.
ahead.
Go ahead,
I mean,
Kathy. I'll let you
even
go first.
Sebastian Stan and still have Mark Hamill doing Luke's voice. That's fine. That's fine. You can dub over the voice, and I don't care. But like it was being said earlier, it is distracting to have the CGI constantly in front of you, that because your brain doesn't recognize it as a face. It's a face, but it's not a face, and it's weird. It's like when you're like half awake in the middle of the night and you see the laundry pile on your bed, and it kind of looks like Jabba the Hutt, but it's actually still just a laundry pile. Like that's
I have had those nights.
that is legitimately how I feel about it. Is that like I know this is a face because you're telling me it is, but this is not the right face.
Right.
And I think too, because of the facial changes that happened with Mark Hamill after his accident, having the CGI face be what he should have looked like without his car accident is super trippy. Like,
I'll go with that.
It feels weird. If they had CGI'd him back to what he looked like post-accident, that'd be a different story. And I know you can CGI scars. Like,
right.
If they can CGI an entire face, they could make it look more realistic. But
like I said, it works in small doses. Like his appearance at the end of season 2 of Mandalorian, that's fine. He's only in a handful of scenes, and ultimately, his presence is a little bit more impactful there. Even in Rise of Skywalker, when there's that brief flashback to when him and Leia were training in the forest, like I actually dug that just because it was brief. It was like a quick glimmer of his young face and then a quick glimmer of her young face. That's all I needed.
And really no other way to do that either. So
Rogue One with Carrie Fisher, like that was a small enough amount of it. It wasn't like when we had Tarkin and all of a sudden it's this is this is wrong. This feels weird.
This part of the face moves. This part of the face doesn't. Yeah, it was almost looked like a Terrence and Phillip doll at certain times when Tarkin would talk.
That was my issue with episode 6 of Boba Fett. Here was what I mentioned this to Jason earlier, is that they shoot around as much as they can to not show Luke talking, and it shows why at times too, because he'll say a line of dialogue and the lips do not match the shape that they're supposed to with certain enunciation. It looks like a kung fu dub. It looks really weird.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I think the line was,
"Fight me.
I don't know what I'm going to do with him." I'm like, weird.
I'm excited that they have decided to show Luke. But legitimately, Sebastian Stan's already got a Disney check. Like, he's already on the Disney payroll. It's not that hard to just add him to another payroll department.
Yeah, Disney, right here. Sebastian Stan.
Hamill's given it his blessing.
Billy Lord,
just do it.
Sebastian Stan. They're right there. And then you've already got Aldrich Ehrenreich, whatever his name is, there too. You've got the main three. Perfect.
Yeah, and Hamill signed off on Sebastian Stan. He said that he thought he'd be a perfect, replacement as a younger Luke. So why not?
I mean, he wants money too, so he wants to work as well.
Why wouldn't he?
Yeah.
But I think the episode amazing. I said, "Oh my god!" I don't know how many times during this episode. Certain times I said, "Oh my god!" In rapid succession. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
And I mean, so Tim will confirm this. I was like,
we were
instantly
tweeting back and forth. We were messaging back and forth in live time.
Yes,
So
it was very much a stream of consciousness like commentary with
my
me. Oh, I too.
my line of commenting kept to her because I watched it before she did was just wait, it gets better. Just wait, it gets better. Just wait, it gets better.
Nothing. I stand by the fact that nothing beat the frog scene though. Like the frog scene was the highlight of the episode for me because it was flippin' hilarious, and I loved that because that's how I feel trying to teach my daughter. Like I'm trying to get her to focus on the thing we're trying to learn, and she's like, it's like no. I understood Luke in that moment, and that was gone by the end of the episode.
So one of the things I was most interesting to me about this whole thing between, and I don't know how far you've gotten in your discussion here, but the point of making Grogu choose. Have we talked about that yet?
That's where we left off. Is the point of making Grogu choose.
Okay, so here's my take on that. This has some very major implications moving forward. Which way he chooses. So if he chooses frankly, it's Mithril from Lord of the Rings. You can't tell me any other. Can't tell me anything else. He's got Frodo's Mithril. Okay. So if he chooses the Mithril, he goes back to he's going to hang with the Mandalorian. He'll be pushed aside, but he'll be basically ignored by Luke and the Jedi Council.
Right.
Or there's not really a Jedi Council at this point, but just Luke as the last remaining Jedi Master. He won't be trained by Ahsoka. He'll be just, he'll just be, being trained, in his own ways, basically kind of stumble along through it. Kind of like a Kanan Jarrus, basically. Kanan didn't have a master to teach him. He just had to stumble his own way. So if he does decide to go the route of the Mandalorian, but yet follow some of the Jedi creed, then he'll have to figure it out on his own. If he goes the other route, that means he's the first student in Luke's school. It means that he is the first to go through all the training and everything, even before Ben Solo. And then when Ben and Luke have their confrontation, does Grogu die then? Or is he one of the handful that goes off with Ben Solo?
I can tell you right now, Grogu's going to go off with the Mandalorian because the season 3 is coming next year, and they need to get that puppet back with that Mandalorian.
And I kind of feel like that's the decision that's going to happen. Is that Grogu is going to choose to go back to Din Djarin, that he's going to choose to go with the Mandalorian because of the fact that he has bonded with Din so much, and it is that like father-son relationship that.
Oh, and they showed that too. When Din's ship was leaving. The hand moving out for him.
It's like,
yeah.
And as a parent, I'm like, even when Din's with Ahsoka and looking at Grogu and Luke from a distance, and you're just torturing the guy. You are just absolutely torturing him with yes, but if you go talk to him, you're going to confuse him. It's like, no, stop. The Jedi need to stop being dicks about this, and it hasn't worked for them so far.
Yeah.
Why haven't they learned that this no attachments thing doesn't work?
That's been my biggest thing about incorporating that into the mythology is this whole life of celibacy and cutting yourself off from all passions and so forth. It's like, actually, that breeds an environment where more of your followers end up psychotic. So
yeah, it doesn't work well.
You would think that Luke would know better. Luke saw what it did to his dad. The Jedi ways killed his mom. Because of the Jedi's stupidity, he didn't get the childhood he was supposed to. He didn't know that his sister was his sister until after he kissed her. I mean, come on, people.
You're right. It's fantastic. But I think it'll be a fascinating story point to watch because Mando's going to try to do the right thing. He's going to try to teach Grogu how to be a Jedi. And I think that'd be fascinating to watch. Is him trying to figure it out, just like any parent thrust into a situation who has no idea what they're doing is going to try to do the best they can to figure it out. And I think that'd be fun to watch.
One of the other things I picked up from this, and I don't know if you guys noticed this too. Now, so in Last Jedi, Luke talks about the formation of the school, and he talks about how in his hubris and his his machismo, he decided that he was qualified to teach all the rest of the Jedis, and he was going to start the school, and he was going to do all these things. And you can see that in this episode when he's dealing with Grogu, the way he talks to Grogu, the way he talks about, the school, and, if you choose this, you will be my first student. Just the way he phrased it, and the way that, and you can kind of see him kind of, it's almost the attitude of, hey, look, I took on the, I shut down the Empire. It's me. I did it. I'm the one to follow. And it just, I don't know, it's kind of, you can kind of pick up on that attitude, and you can see it where it could have built from that point forward.
I like John's comment. If only there had been someone there to tell Luke that the Jedi Order didn't have all of their crap together, and he might want to explore other options rather than repeating their mistakes. He's referring to Ahsoka.
Yeah, she's busy with a spinoff. She can't be at the school. She's busy with a spinoff.
But I feel like they're bringing her in to Boba Fett so that we have those little glimpses of her before we get her spinoff.
Oh yeah, that's totally why she's there.
Because they're going to explain why she's there in the spinoff, I'm sure.
I'm sure. Like I told Mike earlier, I want that conversation between Luke and her about Anakin. Because Luke doesn't know anything about Anakin at the end of Return of the Jedi, except for that he's a horrible person who killed millions of people.
The thing is, they'd already had that conversation in that episode when Grogu's on the rock in the stream and stuff. She's like, "You're like your father," and it's just like they've clearly had that conversation already. They met off screen somewhere, and it's just like, yeah. But yeah, I was mentioning to Jason earlier that like, yeah, I get why she's there in terms of the franchise. They need to tout her up a little bit before her own series kicks off. But like, I felt like you could have had all those interactions with Mandalorian and Luke, and nothing would have been really missing in those interactions. But because Ahsoka's in the next series, of course, they're going to try to work her into the story.
She was there as a gatekeeper, basically, to make sure that he couldn't go any forward. That was the only purpose.
Filoni loves her. He created her. That's his.
That's his prerogative.
Universe. So he wants her in everything.
And this episode was directed by Filoni, so
it makes sense.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a Filoni episode.
If you're a showrunner and you got a favorite character that you want to try to put into as many situations as possible, sure, why not? You got the ability to do so.
And in all honesty, the fan base isn't going to care for the most part, right? I mean, the fan base for the most part loves Ahsoka. They're, we want more content from her.
Right, the majority of the fan base is going to do the yay Ahsoka and not really care why she's there.
What time
Max will be mad.
Yeah, what time did you watch
Max
the episode?
is mad at everything, though.
What time did you watch the episode, Tim?
This morning, I think I started at 7:15.
That's when I watched it too. I texted you, I think at 10. And I was like, "Who is this blue guy?" Like, he explained to everybe who the blue guy was.
Freaking Bane! Heck yeah!
Oh, is this the dude that killed Timothy Oliphant?
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know. No, he's not dead. He's not dead. I guarantee he's not dead. It was a shoulder shot.
Okay.
Now his deputy. That dude's screwed.
Deputy's dead.
He only had a couple lines. I don't care about him.
No, because Cad Bane walked up there and was just like, kept just pumping him. Like, yeah, he's done.
That's true, John. That's a true statement. Like, yeah, better to have someone who's actually flesh and blood saying something than more of the face.
But what we're saying about Cad Bane is that he cannot sing that he shot the sheriff, but he didn't shoot the deputy because he did both.
He did. He broke my
comedic relief.
That's awesome.
So anyway, Cad freaking Bane. No,
I'm like, this guy looks familiar. Like, do I know him from somewhere?
And that was the thing, is I was looking at him like, I should know who that is, but I haven't seen enough of the cartoons to be like, I know that person by name.
Yeah, that was the thing. I'm like,
him walking, his silhouette. I was like, oh, that's where I went. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Yeah.
Just so I got this clear, so what's his name? Cad Bane? Cad Bane.
Yes.
So he's from Clone Wars, right?
Clone Wars and Rebels.
And
Bad Batch.
And the Wookiee is from the comics?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. This is his on-screen debut. Kersantin?
Okay.
Kersantin.
Like, I heard Fennec say it, and I tried to remember how to say it, and it didn't work.
Because there's multiple R's. It gets confusing.
It's mostly consonants. Yeah.
Yes.
The fans are really loving the fact that Filoni is pulling from, because it's supposed to be an expanded universe with the comic books. It's all supposed to tie together. Now it finally is starting to tie together. And I know the internet, everybody was excited about Luke, but the internet was losing their mind over Cad Bane. And then a few weeks ago, the Wookiee as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I honestly, I lost my crap this morning when I saw Cad Bane. The second I saw him walking down with it, he was my favorite bounty hunter in the Clone Wars. I always just thought he was so cool. He was always, and he's a perfect fit for the Mandalorian and Boba Fett show archetype. Okay, the wild west.
I love the space western.
Yeah, he's perfect for this because he does the whole flick up of the hat. He's typically has something coming out of his mouth. Like a little straw seed or something.
Very much Western
aesthetic. Yeah, very much a Western aesthetic. The long duster jacket, everything.
The only complaint I have about that scene is that Filoni missed the opportunity to use the Western standoff music. Like, there could have been I heard it in my head anyway. You could have Star Wars'd it and added
the only issue that I have with that scene, and it's something really small, really stupid, but it bugs
that it wasn't long enough.
Okay, so the two things I have wrong with that scene. No, okay, so honestly, the one thing that I really have a problem with that scene is that they made Cad Bane's teeth all like daggers, like monstery,
Mm-hmm.
They're not like that in Clone Wars. So, I don't know if he had him, sharpened to look more scary at some point,
Like 70 at this point, isn't he?
Yeah.
Well,
so
aliens.
He got scary dentures because he was getting old and didn't think he was intimidating enough anymore.
I guess.
You could have lost him. So,
all these aliens have different age rates. Like, technically, Baby Yoda is 50 years old, right? So, it's like, and he's only a toddler. But, like,
I want to go back and watch the shows because I've heard a lot of like super positive things about especially Rebels, and I know I've got to devote the time. I've become a huge fan of Freddie Prinze Jr., so that also makes me want to go back and check it out.
I love the concept of the cartoons. I love that they expanded the world into the cartoons. I struggle with the animation style. Like, I struggle visually watching it.
With Rebels.
With
I have that problem with Resistance. So there's Clone Wars. So there's the 4 animated series. There's Clone Wars, there's Rebels, there's Resistance, and now of course we have Bad Batch. I don't have a problem with the animation of 3 of the 4. Resistance is very
bright.
It's very. I don't know. I can't understand. I can't describe rather the artistic style because that's just not me. I can't do that. I don't know. There's something about the way that they're drawn in that cartoon. I just don't like it. But I don't have that problem with Rebels, and I don't have that problem with Clone Wars or Bad Batch.
Yeah, Clone Wars, Disney stuck with the Comedy Central style of animation with it too. Because Rebels is a little brighter and looks more cleaned up.
And I feel like it's something that I can get used to, but trying to watch the first couple of episodes of it, I'm like,
that's
no.
Resistance.
It looks kind of like Thunderbirds, like CGI marionettes a little bit.
Right?
Yeah.
And all the faces look like they're just kind of stamped on there. They don't look like they're actually drawn in. They're just like cookie cutters stamped in.
That was made for kids.
It is very much so. I mean, all Star Wars is made for kids, but that one even more so. Let's be honest with it. I have a really strong issue with that one. But Clone Wars, Rebels, and Bad Batch are so very much worth the watch. And they add actually a lot. So Clone Wars in particular adds a lot in between episodes 2 and 3 of the movies. But it adds a lot of detail. It helps introduce some key critical characters, especially when you're talking about like Count Dooku. I'm okay with that. I mean, if you've seen this, it's clearly not that. So, but yeah,
You're cute in your own way, Tim. It's okay.
But yeah,
I just want to say. I just want to say in this latest episode of Boba Fett, that was some grade A head nodding from Boba Fett.
Yeah, and that,
He's back to doing what he does best, standing in a corner.
I mean, I was a little annoyed by the lack of Boba Fett in the last 2 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett. But because they're doing it chapter by chapter and they are making it a book, I understand that these are the background characters. We are getting the fill-in that we need this information. It's just a little bit weird the way that they're doing it. It feels weird, but I actually like that we're getting all of the background characters' information. We're getting that backstory. We're not just getting the main character's viewpoint of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because you do need all of the pieces that are going to be fitting together in the final episode.
Yeah. I just find it funny because I know it's the number of episodes are limited, probably most likely due to COVID and production having to kind of be truncated for the sake of that. But I just found it funny. It's like 5 out of 7 episodes have a lot of Boba Fett, and then, or possibly, I don't know what the finale is going to be like. Maybe he'll show up for like 15 seconds, but I just found it kind of amusing personally. That I'm like, okay, we're going to detour to Mandalorian for a little bit. Makes sense. I do like Mando, but at the same time, like,
I feel like the finale we're going to get more Boba Fett. I feel like it's going to be definitively the Book of Boba Fett again.
Yeah, his story.
These other background characters that are going to come.
So I had read before the season started that we're going to get 3 episodes that were Mando heavy. So this makes sense. So 5, 6, 7 will be Mando heavy. Sure. And I think that episode 8, which is our finale, is going to go back to Book of Boba. It's going to be heavy Boba, and we're going to have a showdown with the Pikes.
Yeah, I think episodes? Because it says 7.
I thought there was 8.
It says 7.
Is there 7? Oh, okay.
Next week.
Well, that's unfortunate then.
Finale.
Boy, that's unfortunate then.
I think it will be. I think it'll
be
Mando heavy.
Double length episode
with Boba Fett. Oh, it's double length.
Oh no, that's what they should do, probably. But,
I was gonna say, but even a double length episode, with as short as the series premiere was, is not that impressive.
What was it? 35, 39 minutes, something like that. I was like, you're just getting us warmed up and you're quitting? What is this?
I'm all in on this series.
So many jokes, Tim.
Yep. I set you up. You didn't even knock him down. Way to go. So anyway.
What was that, Mike?
Oh no, I was just saying because we were talking earlier about like the pacing of the show in particular. I just to kind of catch you up to my thoughts on Boba Fett overall, Tim and Kathleen, is that I enjoyed the first couple of episodes, especially the background stuff involving Tusken Raiders. I really loved that. And then when it's like, well, we're going to kill off the Tusken Raiders, I gradually started losing more interest. And then the flashback regarding him and Fennec meeting up, I liked parts of it. And then there were other parts where I'm like, I don't need to see this. I would rather focus on what's going on in current day crime story. Get him out of that tank.
Right.
Right.
But like they go back to the pit to get his armor. I'm like, dude, you were wearing your armor. It's not there. You know this probably, but who knows?
You know, I think part of it's Filoni. Filoni is a blessing and a curse on some things. Okay, so he's a blessing in the fact that we have to be appreciative of all the Star Wars content that he's helped bring to the table, and that he's keeping Star Wars fresh and something that's exciting, that I'm excited to want to see every week, and that I'm excited to, want to see what else he's putting together and how it's being put together. But at the same time, you're talking about a man who is just this side of J.R. Tolkien when it comes to storytelling. He, Tolkien would write a whole chapter about the color of the sky and what color the leaves were and everything, and go on these excruciating details. Filoni does the same thing. He will build you a clock to tell you what time it is, and he'll just draw it out, and that's why Clone Wars season 1 is so difficult sometimes to get through, because they're trying to set up so much information, it just stretches and stretches and stretches. And he does the same thing with Rebels. When you watch Rebels season 1, he stretches and stretches and stretches to build up this information about the characters, and so you get a base for them. So the problem is he's doing this as well in Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Which is a good and bad thing, because most of what we know about Boba Fett is either in Legends now and doesn't really count, or he's got 40 years of expectations of what people thought Boba was
Fett
going to
was,
be. And
Yeah,
how
and
it was,
also-
how it was going to be perceived. So
And also working off of prequel stuff that was developed about Boba to kind of like,
Yeah.
okay, how do I make this work now for the story I want to tell? And yeah,
I do want to see, though, as much as CGI Luke is weird, I want to see Luke and Boba Fett back on screen together. Like, I want to know how that's gonna go, because the whole sorry for kicking me into the Sarlacc pit, like,
There's something
Well-
I read online. I don't know what source material this is in, but there's apparently some form of new Star Wars that has Han Solo explaining the experience of being in Carbonite. I want to read that book or comic book, whatever it is, because apparently it's very fascinating.
yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I'd be down
So
for that.
I'm going to go around the table real quick and get everyone's final thoughts. I want to say that I like this episode a whole lot. But Lucasfilm and Disney, look at me right here. Unless you get an actual actor to play Luke Skywalker, I don't want a Luke series. Like, this is as much Luke in an episode or in a season as I think we need. And I know he's going to pop up in Ahsoka. I understand that. But just, we don't need too much of it. Like,
I
just
feel
keep
like
it
Luke's story's been
small.
told.
Kind of, but Disney wants to make up for the sequel series. So they're going to sprinkle in Luke being cool and Han being cool. We're going to see Han Solo again. I freaking
Sprinkle them
guarantee
in, that's fine. Just, it's like a garnish. You put too much salt in something, it ruins the taste.
We're
Right.
going to
You
see
know.
young Ben Solo eventually. We know this. It's
Can
just
somebody kick him into a Sarlacc pit?
we got to accept it. Okay, we got to accept it. It's going to happen. But I want them to continue expanding the universe because that's what we all loved with the Mandalorian to begin with. And I'm glad that Grogu isn't related to Yoda. I think that's fantastic. These people do not need to be related to anybody in the original franchise. Let's get the new
Right.
characters. Let's get to expanding. You guys are doing a pretty good job of that, but you guys can't leave certain things alone. And like I said, I'm fine. Just sprinkle it in like it's salt or pepper. I really like the Grogu and Mando relationship, and I hope that I'm right and that they go for the obvious, hey, season 3's coming. We got to get these guys back together so that they can go on more space adventures.
Let's
So
get the band back together again.
Even if even if Grogu chooses to take Yoda's lightsaber, that doesn't mean that Mando can't come and snag him. And then you have tiny little knight Grogu who now has the Mithril Beskar armor and a lightsaber, and that sounds awesome to me.
that sounds amazing. But,
I don't like either ors.
When I finish,
I just want to see him chasing frogs with the mithril and a lightsaber. Just yeah.
When I finished the episode, I felt like I did at the end of The Force Awakens. I had a lot of fun watching this. I was excited. I messaged Tim. I want to go back and watch it.
Mhm.
I wish that when I had woke up, I had watched this before I watched This Is Us. But, you can't make those choices. Got to live in them. But what's funny is as soon as I finished The Mandalorian, I started watching The Good Wife. And the guest in that episode was Pedro Pascal. So a fantastic coincidence. I want to send it over to Mike. Mike, what are your wrap-up thoughts? Overall?
I like, aside from the CGI technicalities of de-aging actors and having them take up a lot of screen time, I thought it was fine. I've, for the most part, enjoyed the possibilities that Star Wars on TV can offer. I really want them to steer clear of Skywalker saga drama stuff. Just give me a whole show dedicated to Amy Sedaris working on Tatooine. Give me that sitcom.
And maybe on a dating show with Jawas.
That's why I like the first season of Mandalorian the most. That's why I like most of the Star Wars Vision segments.
Oh,
I just want
awesome.
I want smaller stories. I don't need everything to tie back into the Skywalker, lineage, destiny story. Just tell smaller stories, and I hope they focus a little bit more on that. Yeah.
Yes. I'm going to read John's comment. John would love to see a Star Wars version of How I Met Your ... with the narration by Mark Hamill or Harrison Ford, but with younger actors playing their roles. Hopefully, if they do that,
Yes,
they
please.
do it with a cast with better chemistry than How I Met Your Father, even though it's getting better.
That
It's
show
still
is rough.
far from there yet. It was
it's not
horrible,
good.
and now it's mildly watchable. So we're getting there.
There was really sucks, and now it just sucks. So I don't really know that.
Ditch the laugh track, people. It's 2012.
They got to stop writing for the laugh track.
Laugh track stuff. All right, Tim, what are your final thoughts?
I am here for all of it. As always, it's Star Wars. I'm here. I'm going to watch it. My only real issues for this episode were, like I said, the sharp tooth Cad Bane. Have a problem with that. Really, really have a problem with that. Unless I've missed something somewhere and I need to go back and check Clone Wars and Bad Batch and make sure that I didn't miss that somewhere, that that the twofers were all not square and Sharpie and all that kind of stuff.
Some
But
deleted
honestly,
scene of him filing.
yeah, exactly. Like he got caught and he's sitting there in prison. I got nothing better to do, so just filing away. No, I'm excited to see what happens with this moving forward, because now he's with the Pikes clearly, and he has already fought Fennec Shand once and lost. She bested him, and because he hired her to get Omega during the Bad Batch, and they ended up fighting each other. And Fennec Shand won, and now she's working with Boba, and he's working with the Pikes, and Cad Bane is just such a cool character, and I'm really excited to see where this goes. And you guys have already touched on the CGI. As long as that's not the standard, and is more of the exception, we get this in small bits, I'm okay with the de-aging stuff. And I really just think that we need to, and I'll echo what Mike just said: less Skywalker, more outside characters. There are so many characters in Star Wars. We don't need more Skywalker stories. There's enough of them. Tell the stories of all these other characters and tell them well. Go for it. I'll watch.
Yeah.
I promise.
And if it makes sense to sprinkle in a legacy character, then do it.
Yeah, bring them in little bits here and there.
Yeah, focus on new people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Kathleen, what are your final thoughts?
Honestly, I'm on board with the same as everybody else. I mean, I am more of a casual Star Wars viewer than Tim. I mean, because obviously I wasn't as like, oh my gosh, it's Cad Bane. It was wait, there's a blue person. I should know who that blue person is.
Right? That's what I did.
Right. But what?
I didn't just say, oh, it's Cad Bane. I was like, oh my god, it's Cad Bane, it's Cad Bane, it's Cad Bane. So it's more like that.
I wasn't going to be that ridiculous tonight.
No, I was, because I was that ridiculous this morning,
right.
So I might as well just carry through. Anyway, this is your time to talk. Please carry on.
But I am super excited. I am super excited about bringing in the new characters, making Star Wars new and exciting and fresh again. And I feel like they have so much potential, and they are just taunting us with it. With the, look at this character we can bring in, and look at this character we can bring in, and we'll bring in a new Naboo starfighter. And they're teasing, and then they bring in legacy characters, and it's like, but don't do that to me. Don't show me the happy, shiny new things and then be like, and it's all about Luke again. We've had his story.
I still want that conversation, though. I want to watch it.
Right. But I don't know if it's the Disney Corporation trying to make up for Walt Disney's family issues, because he kills off the mom in all of the movies because of his own personal issues. I don't know if Disney is trying to be like, hey, we're not like Walt, and we're going to make everybody happy and family friendly again. Because no. Just no.
Kathleen's saying kill all of the moms in The Mandalorian. You guys heard that here on the 3 Geeks podcast.
mean, Mick already thinks that Tim likes killing Padawans, so why not?
Well, he does. I want to thank everybody for tuning in on what Mike and I expected to be a 10 to 12-minute chat and turned into a glorious hour. So for everybody out there that says that we don't get geeky enough anymore, right here, this was an hour of pure nerdom. And you obviously haven't been watching this year, because this year it's been crazy extreme. We did a remake revolution of Winnie the Pooh with two very different pitches, and I highly recommend everybody go back and check it out, because this happened.
Yeah.
Whoa.
John,
you need to check it out.
John, if you're listening or watching, he's public domain. Winnie the Pooh's public domain. You can do this. So
yes, I want to see War Vet Winnie the Pooh, and so check that out.
PTSD Winnie, nice.
Last Sunday, fantastic. Lots of fun interviews coming up. Tim, Kathleen, tell us about Pop Culture Addicts, and tell us about funny science fiction. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. Breaking news. I forgot. I have a quote from Nick Stockbridge, who I invited also to be here today. His quote is, OMG, Cad Bane.
Hold on, you didn't do it right. OMG, Cad Bane.
But now say it as though you were Tim, because then you have to.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! All right, so I'll tackle funny science fiction. I'll let Kathleen tackle pop culture addicts.
Oh boy.
So funny science fiction is we're a nerd podcast. We talk about sci-fi, superheroes, fantasy. Last week our guest was the one and only Sam Witwer from Star Wars, the voice of Darth Maul. And this week, upcoming, our guest is one of my favorite actresses. I've been a fan of hers for a long time. Her name is Liz Vassy. She was in The Tick from 2002. She was Captain Liberty.
Yes, Captain Liberty. Awesome.
Yeah. So, and she's actually a really big Star Wars fan. And we talk about that in the show as well. And so she's got some pretty cool Star Wars. Absolutely. Nice. Love that. Warburton is the best as Tick. God, just love him.
He's the best at everything.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so we weekly interview show, and we go live every Monday night. We talk nerdy on every Monday night, and every all Friday morning we have a new. That's right, all nerdy, no dirty. And Friday mornings we have our episodes release, and well, I guess I'll give a little bit of spoilers. We've got some really big names coming up. We have so not only Liz Vassy this week, we had Sam Witwer last week. We have Cameron Bykendova, who is Selena Kyle from Gotham. She's coming on the show here in a couple weeks. And then we also have Taylor Gray, who's the voice of Ezra Bridger from Star Wars Rebels. He'll be on in a couple weeks as well. Francois Chow, also from the new run of The Tick and The Expanse.
Shredder.
That's really cool. Mm-hmm. Yes, and Shredder from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So we have some really cool names coming up on Funny Science Fiction.
That in our interview too. It's really cool.
I need to send this something. I got to message you after this because I want to reach out to Freddie Prinze Jr. and get him on because I love that guy.
Oh my gosh!
You know what? Good luck to you.
Get me in on that interview.
I've tried, and not hey, not saying that hey, I'm the only one who could
reach out to his wife.
No, that's Will Wheaton. Will Wheaton's wife hates me. That's for sure. Freddie's had some pretty rough interviews. Where the Star Wars trolls went after him about a few things, and number one, Freddie Prinze Jr. is one of the people out there who I would not challenge in a Star Wars trivia ever.
No, like Sam
there's
Witwer
Filoni,
is like number one.
Yeah, there's Filoni, there's Witwer, and Freddie Prinze Jr. is right up there with them. He knows his crap, and he'll tell you, and he's said this in other interviews. He was taught by Filoni, who was taught by George Lucas. So if there's two guys that are going to teach him the ways of the Force, you can't pick any better too. Anyway, that's a side topic. But yeah, so check out Funny Science Fiction Podcast. And I'm done. I'll shut up now.
All right, and our other
Anyway,
show.
So I was thinking,
Missy, do not make me full name you. I will full name you on the internet.
Ooh, I want to hear his full name.
But anyway. Pop Culture Addicts is our other show that might be a single host show soon. Whichever way that goes, it might be that I leave, it might be that I kick Tim out. Who knows?
Your husband's the editor, so I have a feeling it's going in a different direction.
I might be outnumbered, but hey, whatever.
No, I love Tim too much to be done with him, and also I don't know how he does half the crap he does. So I kind of need him. But Pop Culture Addicts is also a weekly interview show. Our current episode up is with Social Studies Comics, which is an independent comic. And they're really cool. They are kind of 90s cartoon inspired. So think Recess, Doug, Pepper Ann. And that is kind of their drawing style, which is...
I saw Ed and Eddie when I saw
definitely.
Nice.
Our episode next week is...
Rena Friedman Watts. She's a host of a podcast called Better Call Daddy. She's a former showrunner for Jerry Springer, and we had some really cool chats about her trying to find content in Kentucky. Sorry, Kentucky. But
we tried not to bash Kentucky, but we can't.
We may have alienated the state. It's possible.
It's all right. We'll keep Ohio and get rid of Kentucky. No, so we are also in a weekly interview show, but we have a month and a half ago started our Friday 5 at 5, which is where either Tim or we will alternate talking about our top 5 favorite things in pop culture, whether it's our top 5 favorite Hamilton songs, which I did because why not? Tim did Pearl Pearl Jam? Did you do
Stone
Pearl
Temple
Jam?
Pilots. No,
I don't remember. I don't.
My
Same
top
difference.
5. You shush your mouth. My top 5 favorite Scott Weiland cover songs away from Stone Temple Pilots.
Yes.
Either did
Sorry.
as a solo
If
or in
it's
other
not
bands.
the Paw Patrol puppy names, I can't remember it right now. Like the mom, I have mom brain very
Yeah, I
badly.
was about to say mom mode kicked in.
Oh
It's like,
yeah, it is so bad. I realized the other day that I can never finish a sentence because I'm so used to being interrupted by a tiny person that my brain has stopped figuring out how to finish sentences, and it's like
It happens. It
Even
goes away after a
with
few
this.
years. Don't worry. You'll get back to normal.
But that goes up Friday nights at 5 p.m. I actually recorded today's episode or Friday's episode today. I am very excited for you guys to see my top 5 for this week. I will tell you it involves a lightsaber and a crown. Just because why not? They were both within easy reach. But yeah, we are on YouTube, on all of your places that you can find podcasts, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Google it and you'll find it.
Awesome. Everybody out there, coming up on Sunday, the 3 Geeks Podcast, we will be live at noon with our friend Jarrell Pyro Johnson. He's coming
Pyro,
on.
nice.
Get completely
Pyro.
geeky with him. And even though he can't say it, we all know that he is off filming Black Panther 2 because of the interwebs. So
That's right. It's on IMDb. I can say it.
Yes.
He
so
just can't.
I can't
He
wait
can't,
to not
but I
talk to
can.
him about that and all the other fun stuff. So yeah, stay in tune.
Yeah, when we
Go
talk
YouTube.
to him.
Go to
Sorry.
youtube.com/Mike McGTV. A huge fan of Mike's work. He does a lot of very different kinds of videos that I highly recommend people check out. It's not the podcasting format like the rest of us. I highly recommend Mike's work. And yeah, from all of us, you guys have a great and fantastic Thursday night. Goodbye.
It's Wednesday.
Bye.
this is the
Wednesday
way.
night.